Awesome. Welcome to Ask Me Anything. I am so excited. I'm going to give everyone just a minute or two to get here, and then we are going to start this party. Okay, so the questions that I always ask, I hope that everyone can hear me okay, that you guys are with me. And I am really excited because today we are talking about how to get started on the process. So, just want to make sure that everyone can hear me okay and see me okay. I am so excited to talk to you guys tonight. Oh, it's been a Wednesday. I don't know how you guys feel about Wednesdays, but sometimes Wednesdays can be really great, and sometimes Wednesdays can be really long. So I am always so happy and excited when you guys decide to join me at the end of your Wednesday because I know that that's a commitment. And for those of you who are new, my name is Sydney. I am a law school admissions consultant and the owner and founder of S. Montgomery Admissions Consulting. I am the first lawyer in my family and a graduate of Princeton and Harvard Law School, and I have dedicated my life really to helping students break down generational barriers and step confidently into their future, and I'm really excited to help you on your journey. So, like I said, tonight we are going to be talking about the first steps in applying to law school. What is the very first thing that you need to do? You have decided, oh my goodness, I am ready. I am going to be a lawyer. I want to be a lawyer. I think it's time to start. But, like, what do I do? So we're going to answer that question. We're going to go over the very first thing really that you should be doing on this journey. And then we're going to give you a walkthrough of the process so that you can see where you are in the journey, where you are in the stages, and some things to avoid. And some tips for making sure that you are stepping strongly in this first step toward law school. So, this is like the time. It's March. Some of you are juniors in college. Some of you are working adults, working professionals already. And if you are looking at September, if you are looking at applying for this fall cycle, a lot of times this is when people start to contact me and they're like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? I also want to make sure that I don't forget to tell you that this Saturday I am having a free workshop, how to gain control and really maximize your law school application process. So the link to that is actually in the description. You can join. I'd love to have you on Saturday. I will be offering something very special for all of you that listen and come on Saturday and attend, but there'll also be a replay. So if you register for the webinar, you will be able to have access to the replay. So I want to make sure that it is an hour. It is packed with information, and then there is a free Q&A session at the end of that as well. So in that workshop, we talk about the 3 areas that you can really maximize, and we're going to talk about some of that here today. Your timing, which is really the crux of how do you get started and what's the first thing that you do. We're also going to be talking about your essays, and we're going to be talking about your letters of recommendation in that webinar. Those are the 3 areas of the law school application process that I feel if you really gain control of and maximize, you will be able to win, and you will be able to go to law school, hopefully with some good scholarship money, right? I think scholarship money is really important. Over 56% of my students end up going to law school with a half tuition scholarship or more. And I think that's really important because as you are beginning to create generational wealth, as you're beginning your future as an attorney, you don't want to be starting, if you can, with mountains and mountains of debt, unless you're quite sure that it's going to pay off and you're going to get that median salary starting job that's going to make that easy. So, like I said, you're at the beginning and you've come and you're like, what do I do? What is the very first step? The very first step is often the stuff that I think people are a little afraid of. And that is to take an LSAT diagnostic test. Now you're like, hold on, I don't know nothing about law school. What is the LSAT? What do I need to do? All right, so the LSAT is the law school admission test. It is administered by the LSAC, the Law School Admission Council. Why is that the place that I'm telling you to start? Because that is the part of the process that takes the most preparation. I say on average, it takes students about maybe 3 to 4 months to craft really strong essays. Now, some people will come to me and they'll try to do it in less, but I really strongly believe that it takes 3 to 4 months to really craft impactful personal statements, diversity statements, any optional essays or scholarship essays, and make sure that you're giving your recommenders enough time to do their part as well and write any addenda that you might need. However, if the essay portion takes 3 to 4 months, studying for the LSAT could take up to a year. So the minimum amount of time that I tell people to study for the LSAT is 3 months for 3 hours a day. And I really mean 3 hours a day. And the kind of upper limit, I would say, is a year, because you really can overstudy. You can overstudy in a way that allows you to unintentionally burn out. And you really don't want that either. So I think that on average, most students take about 3 to 6 months of serious, strategized studying for the LSAT. And why do I put it like that? Because I think sometimes we can bop around. We can be like, oh, I'm studying for the LSAT. Like you've got a book and sometimes you open it. And sometimes on your way to bed, you might think about an LSAT question. And you're like, I'm studying for the LSAT. No, I mean like with a schedule and you have some kind of curriculum, even if that's self-study, which I don't usually recommend, but you have a plan and you are dedicating time and hours to studying. That's why I say it takes at least 3 to 6 months of that kind of studying. And that kind of studying means that you are giving me 2 to 3 hours of studying a day, at least. The LSAT is a skills-based test, so it really is like muscle memory. It's the kind of test that really wants to see, like, do you have this stuff cold? Do you know it in your bones? The LSAT is a test where you need to really study the test. You need to understand the question types. You need to know how to set up logic games. You need to know how to read certain kind of passages. There's a lot of content that you need to know kind of cold. And then once you get the cold content, then you need to apply it to timing. Oftentimes when students aren't finishing the test or their timing is off, it's because they don't know the foundational parts of the LSAT exam, like the back of their hand, like they know their name, right? If I asked you your name, you'd be able to tell me. That's one of those tests that they do for concussions to see where you are. That's like how much I need you to know the question type. Be like, okay, yeah, it's a 2A, it's a 4B, whatever. I am not an LSAT tutor, but I work with students closely in the process, and I recommend several LSAT test courses and tutors, and over the years I have known certain study strategies that have worked and that haven't worked. And I've seen when students are setting themselves up for pitfalls. And so one of the ways that students really set themselves up for failure is not giving them enough time for the test. I cannot tell you how many students have come to me in August or September, and they're like, I want to apply to law school. And I'm like, okay, applications are already open, so we're already kind of a little bit behind. And then they're like, I haven't started studying for the LSAT. And I'm like, oh, I see. And it makes me a little concerned because that's a dangerous place to be if you're not a naturally good test taker. And so sometimes people will be like, well, I want to study for the November LSAT. And I'm like, okay, all right, sure, we can do that. But you don't even know yet how much time you need to study for the test. You don't know, for example, sorry, I'm just fixing my Instagram feed. You don't know, for example, if you need 3 months to study, if you need 6 months to study, if you need 9 months to study. And so when you come in and you're not sure, and you don't know if you need 3 months or 6 months or 9 months to study, but you have given yourself an artificial date and you said, yeah, I want to take the November test. It's currently September, it's currently August. You have already said, okay, I am only giving myself 3 months. Whether I need 6 months or not, I'm only giving myself 3 months. And that is not a great place to be. That's not how we operate in an abundance mindset with this test. So the very first thing that you need to do is to take an LSAT diagnostic test. And I recommend doing that as soon as possible. So if you are listening to this and you are saying, I'm planning to apply to law school in September, you need to just this weekend, go take an LSAT diagnostic test this weekend. Even if you are maybe thinking about taking the LSAT next year, it really doesn't hurt to take a diagnostic test right now just to see where you are. Because if you don't know where you are, it is impossible to know the best way to prep. It is impossible to know how much time you need on the test. It's impossible to know if you should spend a year or 3 months or 6 months. So the earlier you can get that information, the earlier you can say, yes, okay, my score is here. The kinds of schools that I want to apply to are here. I have a 10-point difference to make up. I have a 20-point difference to make up. I only have 5 points to go. This is really valuable information, and a diagnostic test is free. You can do LSAT Khan Academy Diagnostic, and you put that in Google, and you will get a free diagnostic test. And I know so many times people are scared. They're like, oh my God, I don't know. I'm intimidated by the test. I don't really want to. And I'm saying, don't be scared of information, because whether you take the diagnostic or not, you have kind of a baseline score. You just don't know it. You're the only one that's missing out on the information. Even if you took the diagnostic and you got the worst possible score, isn't that valuable information? Don't you want to know where you're starting from so that you can appropriately plan? Hiding from the truth does not make it any more true. And I think that's something that we really do. We're kind of afraid of what that diagnostic score will be. So we push it off and we push it off. And some of us, we even start studying blindly. We don't know what our weakest section is. We don't know what our goal score is. We don't know how many points we need to increase. But we're like, I can study and that feels safe and comfortable to me, but I'm afraid to take a diagnostic test. So that is a huge mistake. So I would really say that the first thing that you need to do, if you were planning on applying to law school in the fall and you haven't already, take a diagnostic test so that we can make an LSAT plan. And once we have an LSAT plan in place for you, then we can move on to the second step. But I can't have a meaningful conversation with you about any other part of the LSAT or of the law school application journey until I know what's happening with your LSAT score, because it will help determine so many things like your school list and like time management, right? If you only have 5 points to go, then we can ramp up your essay work right now. And a lot of times students are often confused too. Can I study for the LSAT and write my essays? Yes, of course. Most of my students do both at the same time. However, How much time you give to each portion is direct reflection of whether or not you need to be putting a maximum amount of time in your LSAT because of where your diagnostic score was, or whether you have a little bit more room to give to your essays. Now, after we get the diagnostic score together and we get our LSAT plan, we know whether we're taking a course or getting a tutor, and I usually recommend taking a course first and using a tutor to close up or shore up any gaps or weaknesses that you have, but a course gives you a really good foundation. So after we have a really strong LSAT plan, the next thing that I would say to do is to start brainstorming your stories. But even before brainstorming your stories, I actually think that the very next step is to have a conversation with yourself about why you are embarking on this journey and being very specific and finding some conviction. And I want to really use that word conviction, right? Because it's a deeply held belief. You are going to need to be convicted of your reason for going to law school. You need to know in your bones why you want to become a lawyer. And the reason why you need to know that is because this is a hard journey. It can be an incredibly rewarding journey. And I love this. I love guiding students through this journey. And I think it can be a wonderful opportunity for introspection. I think it can be, dare I say, fun and relaxing at times. But there will be times during this journey that you will be tested, especially with the LSAT exam. And so if you don't know in your bones, I am going to become an attorney because these are the people that I want to help, this is the issue that I want to be part of solving. If that's not very clear to you, you need to get that clear before we go on any other part of the journey. You need to have a why law. That is one of the first questions that I ask clients when they meet with me for consultations. I love to hear about them, and I ask, what is driving you to law school? Why are you embarking on this? And it has to be more than, I don't know, my parents are attorneys, or I want to change the world. Okay, how? How do you want to change the world? Why? What do you want to do first? And I'm not here to put you in a box. I think that you can do a wide range of things as an attorney. That's one of the benefits of our job, is the flexibility. You don't major in a certain thing. You are not limited in the areas of law that you practice. However, I have found it very helpful when students have specific reasons and goals for why they want to go to law school, specific people or issues that they want to be part of helping, or even helping first. You might be interested in food law and fashion law and IP and criminal defense, but what's the first thing that you want to do out of law school? Where is your heart really pulling you? If a genie said, I will grant you one wish to solve one issue, what does that go towards? That's what I want you to be thinking about. And I want you to write it down in a really coherent why law sentence. I am going to law school so that I can help create food policies to end food deserts for lower income communities. Super specific. It doesn't have to be that specific. But even for me, my why law was that I wanted to be a child advocate, to advocate on behalf of children in foster care situations and also just children who are victims of the domestic situations, family situations that they find themselves in. Children who are caught in between custody battles. I want to be part of advocating for their rights and also creating just a better family situation for them. That's really important to me. So I would craft my why law statement that way. And whenever I would feel like, I don't know why I'm in law school, I don't know what is happening, I don't want to do this anymore, this is hard, I would think about those kids. And I would think about the impact and the families that I wanted to make. And truth be told, helping students and helping kids has always been at the heart of everything that I do. Even when I pivoted from practicing law to being an educational consultant full-time, it was because I believe in the power of helping students, whether they're grown adults or children, on their path and helping people create their own futures. And that's really at the crux of everything that I do. But that conviction is what really drives me forward, and really pulls me when things get hard. I just want to make sure, are you guys with me? I just want to do a quick check-in and make sure that everything that I'm saying is resonating with you tonight. Okay, I'm going to keep going. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to stop me and let me know. So like I said, that first thing that you want to do is you want to take an LSAT diagnostic test. The second thing that you want to do is you want to find that conviction. You want to find that belief. The thing that is going to propel you through law school, the thing that is going to propel you through the bar exam, through your first year of law school, everything that is difficult, you want to make sure that you have that convicted belief. And then the second thing, then the third thing is to really start brainstorming your stories. So why do I say that's the next step? Because after you have an LSAT plan in place and you feel convicted, I want you to step away almost from that conviction. I want you to think about your life as a whole. And I want you to take stock of the different pieces and parts and events that have made you who you are, that have changed you and shaped you both positively and negatively, your accomplishments, your setbacks, your failures, all of those things. I want you to brainstorm all of them. I want you to brainstorm them in a personal context, and I also want you to brainstorm them in a professional context, because I believe when we're writing personal statements, you should have at least 2 anecdotes, one personal and one professional, that weave in that theme, that reason for why you're going to law school, that conviction, so that I get the sense that this is something that you have been thinking about and that you have been working towards and working in for a long time, that you did not wake up yesterday and decide, hey, I'm going to go to law school and I think that I really like criminal law, with absolutely no connection or no prior experience. You haven't been doing any of the work, you don't have a personal connection to it. That makes law schools feel a little bit less sure that this is what you want to do. So when you are sure and when you are able to tell the law schools and give them really good reasons, then that is so much better. So that's the third thing that I really want you to do, is to brainstorm all of those stories. Because then from the brainstorming, we can start to write, and we can start to think about and do your personal statement, and we can start to do your diversity statements, and we can also use those same brainstorm stories for your optional essays and for your scholarship essays as well. That's kind of really where a lot of your inspiration will draw from. So again, that first step is to take a LSAT diagnostic test, figure out what your baseline score is, find your LSAT plan. Then your second thing that you need to do is really find conviction. Find conviction in your belief of why you're going to law school. And then the third thing that you need to do is start to brainstorm your universe of stories that will become the material that you will use for your personal statement, your diversity statement, your optional statements, all of those things. And then we can talk about how to outline and structure it from there. This is actually the way that I walk students through my boot camp. So in my boot camp, we simultaneously make sure that we're working on essays every single session, but I'm really helping them through the other steps of the process. And the very first thing that we do is that LSAT plan. And then we are working on creating the stories and the story matrix. And then from there, we are continuing to talk about, okay, what does school choice look like? Now that I've been studying for a little bit and I have some baseline with my LSAT score, and I have found my conviction and my why law statement, what kinds of schools would be good for the type of law that I want to do, and also that would be a good academic fit. So we talk about school choice and researching schools and comparing clinics and journals and LRAP programs. And then we're really workshopping those essays. We're talking about letters of recommendation, because you don't want to start too late on that. You want to make sure that you're giving your professors enough time, but also that you are preparing the best kind of brag package for them so that they can write the best letters for you. And then we are into working on your diversity statement. After the diversity statement, we work on your resume, we work on your optional essays, we will work on any just kind of scholarship things that you might want to look at, and topics on financial aid and how to get funding. We're workshopping all of the pieces of your application. We're workshopping your addenda as well and making sure that that looks really good. And then we're talking about what happens after you hit submit. So then we're going through how to navigate wait lists and letters of continued interest. So I really walk you all the way through. But at that very beginning stage, those first couple of units are really on what I have been focusing on: the LSAT plan, the why law statement, and brainstorming the structure of stories. Awesome. So, I hope that this was helpful to you guys. I hope that it really helped give you some clarity on what your next step should be if you are just starting out and you're like, I'm not really sure. I hope that I've given you a really good 1, 2, 3 step for how you can start the process. Like I said, on Saturday, I'm doing a free workshop on how to gain control and really maximize your law school applications. I highly encourage you to sign up for that. If you are new to the process, I will walk you through in more depth some of the things that I talked about. And also, like I said, be there to answer your questions. And then if you want guidance on the entire application process and you want to go through that process that I just mentioned, I am enrolling my boot camps. The March boot camp is already sold out, but the April boot camp and the May boot camp and the June boot camp still have spots. The April and May only have 2 spots left, but the June has some spots left. So definitely, if you're interested, I wouldn't delay. I would definitely sign up so that I can walk you through and hold your hand really through the entire application process. And it also includes a couple private sessions with me and some outside editing time. So it's a really good value. And you get, of course, a supportive community and cohort to help you through the process. All right, guys, it is about 8:30, so I am going to pray us out unless anyone has any other questions. Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for allowing me to be here. Thank you for this time that I had to share. And thank you for the desire and the yearning to go to law school. I know that it can be really stressful and really scary and really overwhelming when you first think about applying to law school. But dear Heavenly Father, I just ask that you would remind them that this thought, this idea, this seed to go to law school, it came from you. And that you would not give them this idea if it weren't meant to benefit them and if it weren't meant to impact others and bring glory. So I just thank you for this idea that they have to go to law school. I thank you that you have brought them here to find support, that I am able to give them just some answers to the very beginning questions. I also pray that you would give them confidence to go through the steps. I pray that you would give them confidence to take an LSAT diagnostic. I pray that you would just rebuke all spirits of fear and anxiety and doubt and intimidation that they might have about the process. I also pray that you would bring an abundance of funds so that they can secure any test prep courses or tutors that they need, that you would make provisions, because I know that you are the God of provision. So I ask that you would rain down manna and that you would allow them to have what they need, the resources that they need to be successful on this exam. I ask that you would make clear for them the vision that you have for them. I ask that you would make clear their conviction to go to law school, that they might not fully know right now. They know that they're being called, but they're not exactly sure what they're being called to. So I just ask that you would continue to bring clarity to their vision, continue to bring wisdom, continue to bring answers, continue to make their path clear so that they will be able to convey that to the admissions committees. I also ask that you would give them patience and guidance through the process, because it can be long, but it will be worth it in the end. I ask blessings and favor over their brainstorming. I ask blessings and favor over their self-introspection, that they would learn so much about themselves, that they would grow as a person, that this would be a fruitful season. I know we always talk about it as a stressful season, but I ask that you would make it a fruitful season for them so that they will prosper and just blossom in their law school applications and into the attorney that you've called them to be. I thank you for everything that you have done up to this point, and I thank you in advance for the miracles and the doors that you are about to open in their futures. I ask all of this in your son Jesus' name. Amen. So guys, I just want to thank you for being here with me tonight. I always am appreciative of you spending your Wednesday nights with me, and I know that God is going to do great things in your life, and I know that you are all going to be fantastic attorneys. So I will be here. I'll be here if you have any questions. Otherwise, I will see you guys in 2 weeks, and I'll be in the Facebook group. So if you have any questions, and if you're new to the Facebook group, please introduce yourself. Write a post. Say, hey, we would love to help connect you to other people, and we'd love to help you on your journey. Okay, guys, I will talk to you very soon. Bye.